Good evening and welcome to Atlantic Television Network. My name is Ekbo Temple. On today's edition of the show, we'll take a look at preparations ahead of the basketball Final 8 and more coming from the ATP Final in Turin. Not also forgetting that we have a lot of football matters on the show today. We're going to short break now. When we come back, it will be a lovely time to discuss more that we have here. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. Joining me live this evening is Michael, a colleague. Of course, we have a lot to discuss. Mike, it's a beautiful evening. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening to you, Tempo, and good evening to our viewers out there. Always a delight doing this with you.
Of course, it's a delight. And of course, we'll start with basketball. Just a few hours ago, we spoke with Ogo Daudu, the coach of Rivers Hoopers, who is in the green mood in preparation for their first game against Gombe Bull at Niger Street basketball court, where a lot will happen, from Thursday. Mike, it looks like Rivers Hoopers are already in the mood in preparation for this big one.
Yes, of course, they are basking in the euphoria of, their last, championship. Then, coupled with the fact that they've actually started on a very good note so far this season, the Nigeria Premier Basketball. One, defending the title that they won last time successfully. Secondly, which is the supreme target, is to pick the BAL ticket, that will enable them to represent Nigeria in the Basketball African League, which for me, I think, is very, very spot on. I think all these targets are spot on, and they all tick the box for me. And the big question should be, do they actually have what it takes? Can they be able to make it count, considering the fact that there are other clubs doing pretty well, the likes of Boko City Chiefs? They have not lost any game so far. They've won all their 7 games. So for me, I think everything is on point, and especially for the fact that they will be playing at home is another added advantage for the Rivers Hoopers. Though the coach wanted to distance himself from the fact that they are playing at home, and all eyes will be on them. And according to him, he said that he doesn't even like playing at home because most times...
Away from that, let's talk tennis, and it's all about the ATP year-end final that is ongoing there, in Turin. We saw the ladies a few weeks ago in Saudi Arabia, and this week now, it is the time of the male to do their the needful, and the rejuvenated Medvedev defeated Alex de Minaur 6-2, 6-4 in his second match at the ATP. For Alex de Minaur now, he has lost twice, and not a very good one for him. Now he lost against certain Yannick Sinner. So let's get to see how far Taylor Fries defeated Medvedev. So it is one win. Now let's get to see Taylor Fries will play against Yannick Sinner, and of course keep our eyes on that particular one. But then it looks like Yannick Medvedev getting one over Alex de Minaur now. His last game will be against a certain Yannick Sinner, which will prove very decisive. So he needs to do everything within his power to get to win that particular one. Mike, the Group A, it looks very tough. I think they have top win now. As that's now the Natasi group, as they're called, it's now going to be between Italian top seed Yannick Sinner, Taylor Fries. That one comes later this evening, So 7:30 is the time. Let's get to see how far it goes. But then, if Yannick Sinner wins this one, that will be 6 points for him, and then he hopes to do the magic against Medvedev. But the group is very open.
Very open, you want to say, and I think for me, Medvedev has been able to put away some of the challenges. He was actually booed by the fans at the cost of his irate attitude whenever it's not, the result is not going
on his way.
He tends to get, angry easily. He's very temperamental, which for me shouldn't be of a professional tennis player, because if you allow your anger to get the best of you, then you cannot be able to properly compose yourself in order to churn out positive results. And that is why he was being booed by the fans out there. But then he was still able to maintain his cool and ensure that he get that one done and dusted. Let's hope that he's going to also continue in this fine fashion. But looking at the players that are still remaining, I think Yannick Sinner will still be highly favored, to make this one count. Looking at the form that we've seen of him of late. So for me, I think very competitive, players that we are seeing. But I think the odd will certainly favor Yannick Sinner to make it count once more. But I'm expecting the likes of Medvedev, Taylor Fries to come to the party and give Yannick Sinner a run for his money, so that we don't have a one-man show running the affair. We look boring, and some of the tennis fans out there will not make any big news out of it when you are seeing the same man dominating, proceedings every now and then in every of the competition. It looks as though it become a one-man show, which for me, I think it takes away the beauty of the competition. But when you are having a healthy rivalry, maybe this competition, the ATP 1000 event, you are seeing Yannick Sinner winning, then in the ATP
But
500
arguably, you won't blame Yannick Sinner.
Through?
When you have the top 8 in the ATP rankings, you expect that it should be the best.
Through.
By virtue of their ranking points.
Through.
Okay, so if he goes on to beat everybody in the group, like what I saw on the ladies, I love that competition. Coco Gauff is top 3 in the world. I mean, nobody would have believed that she would beat a certain Iga Swiatek. Iga Swiatek, the both of them, they played 16 times.
True.
You know, so one would have expected that Iga Swiatek will win her. We also saw how Krejcikova also did the needful, getting to the finals. You know, Coco Gauff of all people getting to beat a certain Aryna Sabalenka. So I think that
Queen Zing, the Chinese, also
getting
to the final
too.
Well,
so one would have, I mean, the thought would have been, you know, a lot of person is going to be a roller coaster ride. So we'll get to see magic. If the young lads, I mean, the other seed like a certain is on the same slate, so the battle continues, Mike.
Through the battle truly continues in the Nigeria Premier Football League with Benga Ogumote, the Oracle as is popularly known, you know, once more going into his archive to reinvent some of those his tactical prowess that we've seen in the past that have actually put him among some of the best coaches right here in the Nigerian Premier Football League. And for me, having been able to humble the Academy Warriors, who were the only team standing, more like a last man standing of the unbeaten teams, you know, he was able to crush their back and bring them to, you know, surrender 3-0. What a clinical display. In fact, it was a great victory for them. And just like he said out there, we hope that...
It doesn't look like an oversight, you know, from them.
Yeah, I think it's within their responsibility to do that. Information dissemination is very key, you know, so that it will guide as a tools for the clubs that will be taking part in this year's CAF Champions League out there, so that the team get to know the penalties if they actually infringe some of these rules out there, so that it will not be, oh, we were not reminded, we were not told. So, and that is why CAF has made it very clear that indeed these are the extant law, these are the rules that you must follow, these are the proceedings, so that if you falters and the hammer comes against you, you don't think maybe they are treating you as an scapegoat. You actually faltered and you actually know the rules because you were reminded prior to the tournament kicking off early. So for me, I think CAF is just doing the needful.
CAF is doing the needful, and of course, more to come. But let's move away from that, Mike.
Yeah. You know, the Super Eagles camp is actually bubbling right now as it is. The camp has come alive as we learned this afternoon that about 18 players have hit the Super Eagles camp ahead of the AFCON qualifiers game against Benin Republic. The likes of Moise Simon, Samuel Chukwueze, Bruno Onyemechi, Frank Onyedika, the likes of Lukman Ademola, Victor Boniface, Victor Osimhen. These are among the few players, not also forgetting Ola Aina, Alex Iwobi. These are some of the players, you know, that have actually hit the Super Eagles camp out there, you know, as a bid to take on the Benin Republic come Thursday in the African Cup of Nations Cup qualifier. But Tempo, this brings me to a very sensitive question. Some of these players actually took part in their weekend club side games over the weekend in Europe out there. But less than 24 hours per se, or 48 hours, most of them has hit camp. Out of 23 players, 18 players. So
there is an international break. Players, those in England, just trek down to their camp base, and then you just need to start making preparation to move. You know, so I think that is part of the reason why players want to leave camp. Secondly, every player want to play at the biggest stage. So the biggest stage is the World Cup. It's coming in 2026. You need to be part of the qualifier. You need to be part of the team. You need to be consistent for your coach to recognize you. The moment there's a repugnant attitude from you and the coach feels that you have a way of not being a team member, it becomes a challenge ordinarily. So every player want to impress the coach, not basically about who the next coach might be. Who knows if they qualify to the World Cup, they decide to retain Austin Eguavoen. So I think that every player know that, okay, let me give my all. You know, because there's a competition in the team, take it or leave it. The moment you leave, we'll find someone else to replace you, and coming back can be very difficult. So I think that that's part of the reason, or these are the reasons why it's easier for them to always travel as soon as possible, and some of them too can use that break. It's not as if they cannot book their flight to say they can move one day, but some of them also use that break to travel. Let me go to Germany, maybe we'll use one of the airline from Germany. I want to see what this guy that Boniface, I'll make him in his place. We'll now move from there. They have a very easy race system that allows for those journeys in Europe, especially those that play in Europe. So I think for them it's fun. It's fun, and but the good thing is the synergy with the team. Now that we have the team players now, I can tell you from tomorrow now, and they will not be traveling. They are not in Nigeria. They travel all the way to Cote d'Ivoire. That means they have to be part of the training over there. So I think it's lovely. It's lovely to know that things have really changed when it comes to players reporting to duty.
Meanwhile, the Super Eagles are seated comfortably in the top of their Group D, as it is right now, with 10 points to show for it. Just a point will see them through to qualify for the African Cup of Nations. But then the Benin Republic, and they are seated in the second position with 6 points. And this brings me to the next question. We just need a point to scale through or to get the qualification ticket. And we will be playing against this same Benin Republic. If you can remember vividly, they also defeated us in the World Cup qualifying encounter. And they are being coached by our former coach, talking about Genetro. Do you think that the Super Eagles can get all 3 points? Because for me, I don't know about you. I will be advocating for us to go out for the 3 points instead of going for just a point. Do you think that we'll have what it takes to get all 3 points?
I think that us in the government needs to take very seriously the disgrace of Benin Republic. It's not as if they are the best side, but they have a very good team play. Okay, we have seen them, although we were able to beat them, you know, they have come qualifiers in Rio. I watched that game live. But it does not take the shy that they can, a good team will always have a way to penetrate you. So, Genetron has come out to say that we do not have a quick defense because they have a very vibrant young blood that can marshal in defense. And truly, if you look at the way our defense is fashioned, you either have, I'm sorry, you either have a certain Charles Ekong and the pairing of a certain Semia Jayi. If Semia Jayi is not there or Ekong is not there, you now have a Colin, depending if he's playing 4-4-3 or 4-3-3. You know, then you have a certain Kevin Bessie playing from the left side. From the left side, and then you have Ola now playing from the right side. That makes it very easy. Now, the moment you choke, the moment there is a fast attacker, we saw it against Ivory Coast. The moment there is a fast attacker, it becomes difficult, especially when the midfield is not holding on. It becomes difficult because when they penetrate the midfield, I don't know the formation that he's going to play on, but he has been part of the system. He knows the players that plays the defense. So a good coach always wants to leverage on a good attacker to penetrate. You know that it will work from the flank because Kevin Bassi and Olaina, they are like tigers in those flanks. So the best is penetrate to the midfield and see how far you can conquer, you know, that old man. For me, I call him old man because he's one of the oldest in the team anyway. But I still feel that we know that this is our challenge. And because it's our challenge, the formation that Eguavo plays will not allow those loopholes to be conspicuous. No team that will not have that doesn't have loopholes. Even Manchester City have defensive holes. But it depends on the tactics of the coach to know that okay, this is my challenge. Let me work on it. So, but I think that while we are going for a draw, I will also support that. Yes, we get to win. If we win, there is something about winning that emerges, especially in Africa. The more you win, the more that fear factor naturally comes in.
True.
And so I think that when we win and come back to play the guys from Rwanda at home, it makes it a little bit very, very jokey. Even if I think that we need to win our games for the sake of rankings, we are far behind the rankings. We are sixth in Africa. And I think that the more we win, the more we'll have more better rankings. And win with good points. Don't forget, on average, Benin, the schools of Benin are not anywhere equated to where we should. In fact, we are playing them, the coefficient is less. If they win us, they get more high rankings. True. If they get a draw, they get more high ranked. So I think we need to win them and show that, yes, what happened in Libya, I would have won that particular one if not for anything. So my own is about, it's the same ground that they won us. I just hope that will not repeat itself again.
We hope that will not repeat itself again, but still talking about the Super Eagles list out there, it actually has the likes of Sadiq Umar, and That brings me to the next question. There are so many Super Eagles fans at Temple that have been complaining about the inclusion of Sadiq Umar in the Super Eagles squad. Having played 6 games for Real Sociedad, the La Liga side this season, starting 2 out of those 6 games, 0 assists, 0 goal. Do you think that this is a waste of slots for the Super Eagles?
It is difficult at this point to question the decision of the coaches in area of selection of players, okay? But when those sometimes decisions are born out of sentiment, but you cannot jettison the fact that this man has been part of the squad. Sometimes players are invited on the basis of close ties. When he was part of the team, you never can tell what he brought to the team and that he was loved. At the moment, he's okay. What the coaches want to see is that, okay, is he playing now? He may not be scoring, but for them, it's an excuse to hold on to. But he's playing now. It's not about the goals not coming. Now, there are times when he's part of the system. Maybe giving him that avenue. Even Kelechi Iheanacho was not part of the system for some time until he came back. So giving him that time, I build his mentality. Sometimes players pick up from their national team. I've seen players who are not good in their club. But when it comes to Maguire, is an example. You know, at some point he was used every time, but he's the captain of the side for the Three Lions. And whenever Hurricane is not there, he champions that defense. And I tell you, but for me, on average, if you look at the score that we have, if a player is not good, go back to the league. I would advocate that you go back to the league and use a better player. Where is he going to play? Victor Osimhen is back. I'm just wondering where he's going to play in the attacking front of the Super Eagles. Maybe he's just going to be, like I said, I think that it's just to give him a sense of belonging. I don't think he will be, I'll be surprised if he gets to play. I will be surprised if he gets to play. But bringing him in make it easier for him to adjust in case there's any injury concern again. Because what we've seen that difficulty whenever Victor Osimhen is not part of the stuff. There's difficulty in a certain Victor Boniface scoring the goals. Just maybe the man is trying to also group all of them, have a blend of attackers that will blend with the team, that will not make it difficult when they go for AFCON. AFCON is next year, and maybe the man knows what he's doing, but generally, I don't think that that on merit he deserves to play. Looking at what we have, we ask ourselves, do we have someone better than him? Of course we do, but for the sake of the effort he has made with the team over time, just maybe want to give him a sense of belonging.
Just maybe to give him a sense of belonging, we are still bringing you stories revolving around the African Cup of Nations Cup qualifier. And that takes us to the next story. The coach of the Benin Republic side, talking about Kenneth Rowe, he has made it very clear that the Super Eagles defense is very weak, and according to him, they will exploit the Super Eagles defense come this Thursday in order to get all 3 points against the Super Eagles. These are some of the statements made by the former coach of the Super Eagles. This is a man who truly understands and knows the workings of the Super Eagles, and he's coming out publicly to state it very clear that the Super Eagles defense is very fragile. Is this true? Or is this more like a mind game?
It's more like a mind games. I don't think it's true. But like I said, his coach said before. So, and true to his word, somehow, we've had problem with the defense. But the defensive framework of Kenneth Rowe and now cannot be the same. Then it depends on how he uses them. He's very known for his 4-3-3 formation. He's very known for not having good goalkeepers. Then we don't have good goalkeepers. Maduka was not as good as he is today. So I think that a lot truly has changed. So maybe we'll just get to see. But that statement was defied when he was beaten in Uyo. I think that the boys have what it takes again, to do him the needful. When you have a good attack, do you really care to? I mean, who cares much to know the defensive framework if you have good midfielder that can hold on? So generally, I don't think that statement is even. But he is correct. I just feel that Eguavo should now know that, okay, this man thinks that I don't have a good defense. I will have to put in a very good defense. My players now know that, okay, they need to do everything possible to get to that level. Maybe that way it will really help us to know how far.
Maybe that will really help us to know how far. But talking about the Super Eagles defense, you could also recall that the last African Cup of Nations Cup, that was hosted out there in Ivory Coast, the Super Eagles was one of the best defending, team out there in the last African Cup of Nations. Fast forward to this African Cup of Nations Cup qualifier, the Super Eagles have played 4 games. They have recorded 7 goals, having conceded 0. So for me, I think that the defense line of the Super Eagles is very, very tight as it is. Maybe, just like I said, more like a mind game coming in from the Benin Republic coach. Well, Temple, I don't know, maybe you get to take us through the next story.
Yeah, we'll talk about club football now. And Ruud van Nistelrooy is in reaction continues to the fact that he has left Manchester United after not being given a role in the manager. I think the media are playing their role here. We all knew that Van Nistelrooy cannot stay. Okay, well, it looks like the media, of course, he played few games, had a good result. Arguably, one would think that, okay, he can still be part of the setup. But he knows, even after the game last week, he knew that his time is over. And he ended on high. For me, that is how it should be. This is a Manchester United legend. So while the man is happy, no man will be a coach, but he knew that his time is limited. Okay, but it is good that he has written his name on a very nice slate for posterity's sake. So, Mike, I think that midfielders, the media trying to just push things where it shouldn't be. There was a contract. Should we expect more from Manchester United board? He was there. He was a coach when the contract was even ongoing. He was interim manager. So, do you expect Manchester United to have done more in this regard?
Well, for me, I think for Manchester United, I expected them more, to do better compared to the way the late Ruud van Nistelrooy left.
And that's the question, how?
I understand he was under contract as an interim coach, but then the how here is, the man played 4 games, won 3 out of those 4.
Okay.
Drew 1, scored a total of 11 goals, and conceded just 3 goals. For such a man, within the short stint of time that he was able to stand on a dugout, we saw a bit of liveliness within the Manchester United setup, unlike what we saw under the sacked Erik ten Hag. We saw United began to churn out results. In fact, in his first game, he actually whitewashed Leicester City in the EFL Cup. 5 goals to 2, he ended. In their second game, they had to play draw 1-1 against Chelsea, which was a big game in the Europa, which they have not won a single game under Erik ten Hag. He was able to, win 2-0. A return English Premier League game against this same Leicester City. He banched them 3 goals to nothing to finish on a very high note. So for me, I think that for such a man who truly understands the workings at the Old Trafford, who truly knows what United stand for, who understand the principle, the philosophy of the team, the least they should have done was to retain him. Maybe more in a call it, part of the coaching staff crew. Maybe not as the head coach, but as part of the coaching staff. Maybe into the academy. That wouldn't have been a bad choice for me, for such a man that have brought a whole lot. Don't forget, he played for 5 good seasons for Manchester United, and that is why I say that they needed to retain such man in whatever capacity at Manchester United, because he truly understands the workings at Manchester United. But then again, I think United deemed it necessary to let him go. Maybe he's going to come back for maybe more like 3rd missionary journey. But we'll keep our fingers crossed to see what happens in the future.
We'll keep our fingers crossed, like I said, but we'll sure know how far it goes. We wish him all the best and hope that Morin will not disappoint when he finally takes over. So, Mike, it seems something is popping out from Manchester City's camp.
Yeah, for Manchester City, we learned that Rodri is a big news breaking up this afternoon. That Rodri has also insisted that he wants to come back and play for this season, for the citizens once more, because earlier report from the ACL that he got, ACL injury that he got, ruled him out of the season. But the man is saying that there is still light at the end of the tunnel, that he wants to bounce back and contribute his quota to Manchester City. But then, Tempo, my major concern is about the poor form of Manchester City in their last 4 games right now. They find it very, very difficult as it is, and they are losing their grip on top of the title chase with 5 points adrift of Liverpool. So, do you think that if Rodri comes back, is going to be of immense value to Manchester City?
First off, I think that Rodri is speaking out of sentiment. He's not the medics. he needs to wait till they confirm his return. And the medics haven't said anything. Sometimes I've seen players where they say you will not play again throughout the end of the season, and as his body, because it's all about the body texture. As your body develops, I mean, the injury is, the surgery is a success. You go on, and then luckily I've seen players come back. So he's speaking out of sentiment, the love he shares with Manchester City, and the fact that he wished that, sometimes you look at it and say, I say, this injury, I can come back.
True.
It's just normal. I played football and we know how far these things are. You look at it, I can come back. Maybe that's the level he is. We're going to wait till the medics confirm him. But that does not take the fact that Manchester City are on a very poor note. Even a certain De Bruyne who came into that game could not stop them, from losing. But I think that if Manchester City, it's always been like this. It's always been like this. But this year on is a little bit very early, losing this, being this awful, this period. But I tell you, I think should watch out. If Pep Guardiola can maneuver that side and they can go through the Xmas holiday, and come back alive, they were going to say do Manchester City. But my challenge is the way you are beefing up on that team. A lot of persons are just tired of Manchester City, but that does not take the shy from them. I hope that the clubs can rise to the occasion. Liverpool, can they hold on? Can they continue to win? Because if you must get past Manchester City, they will return.
True.
But you need to be consistent in winning. That's the only thing. But I do not have any issue with the sentiment showed by Rodri. I mean, for his club poor performance.
For his club poor performance, Rodri want to bounce back and contribute his quota to Manchester City this season. Maybe, Temple, you have to take us through the last story before we leave the building this evening.
Certainly, and it's about the draws for the Club World Cup that will determine the 8 groups of 4 who will compete in the tournament in the USA from June 15th to July 13th. Now, the 16 club finishing in the top 2 places in each group will qualify for the knockout phase and the round of 16 to the final without a match for 3rd place. The last edition of the Club World Cup featured 7 teams, but the new version will be considerably bigger with 32 sides, including Real Madrid, Manchester City, and Bayern Munich. The expanded tournament has come under fire for extra workload, which we've talked about, and a lot of people are going to react to this, but regardless, to them, if you're working hard, then we are also paying you hard.
True.
That's the argument there. So we cannot pay you less when you are working, more. So I think the argument is always there, but it is difficult. But clubs are overworking themselves, and you are working because of the money. So if it's the money, the sponsors are saying that we need more television rights for we to continue to pay you. Because take nothing for granted.
True.
The economy has really changed, and the recurrent expenditures of club might is on high.
I totally agree with you. The recurrent expenditure for clubs out there is very high, and the only way for them to recoup or maximize profit is for them to also get the right to also air some of these games, and that is why UEFA have decided to also expand the World Cup, Club World Cup edition from what it used to be to now 32 teams as it is, right? So for me, I think the world is dynamic in nature. If you take a look at the economic happenings around the globe, I think it